In this video, we're going to be looking at triangle congruency. And we're going to be using the sides and angles to determine what type of relationship they have that proves that they are congruent. For instance, let's look at this first one. On this first one, and I'm just going to highlight it as we go over so you can see each part. And for instance, this right here, this is a side, and notice it has this mark right here that shows you that this other triangle, it has the same mark on that side. Therefore, these two sides are congruent. Notice it also has an angle here and an angle here that are congruent, and they both share a second angle that is congruent. In this case, if we wanted to classify this and talk about the type of congruency that we have, then we have an angle and a side and an angle. So we would say that this is angle, side, angle congruency. And for short, we would just write ASA. So these two triangles are congruent because they have two angles that are the same and a side. And we have an angle, side, and angle. Now let's look at this next one below. On this next one below, I want you to notice that we have a side here and a side here that's congruent. And then we have this double angle here and this one here that are congruent, and this single angle that's congruent. So in this case, because we have a side and an angle and another angle, we actually have a type of congruency. So basically any two angles and a not included side, when we see that, and it doesn't matter if they rotate these around, right? If they turn them around, it's fine. It can be rotated or it can be set up the same just like this. But as long as we have the angle, angle, and side, we know that they are congruent. And this one we actually call angle, angle, side congruency, because we have an angle that's the same on both, a second angle that's the same on both, and a side that's the same on both. And we can also use, for short, the acronym ASA, angle, side, angle. Now when it comes to this next triangle, I want you to notice that we have two right triangles first of all. So when you have a right triangle, there is a congruency that we use quite often, and it is called hypotenuse leg. And so as long as we have the hypotenuse and one leg congruent, and we see a right angle symbol, then we say it has hypotenuse leg congruency. Now the right angle sign, you can see that done right here and right here. These do have the same orientation, but I'm going to show you how you know what the hypotenuse is. To find the hypotenuse, you just go to the corner of the right angle and draw an arrow. And that side right here is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in. This is the hypotenuse. And therefore, this side over here is a leg, and this side over here is a leg. And this can be the same that we can be said about this one, our hypotenuse, right? If we draw an arrow from that right angle sign, this is my hypotenuse, the longest side of the triangle. And this over here is a leg, and this over here is a leg. So in this particular one, since we do have a hypotenuse on both that are congruent, notice the single mark and the single mark, and we have a leg on both that is congruent, we can actually say that these two particular triangles are congruent by hypotenuse leg. So I'm going to go ahead and write that real quick. By hypotenuse leg. And for short, we use the acronym HL. So HL just stands for hypotenuse leg. Now remember, this only applies to right triangles. You must have that right angle sign in the triangles in order to be able to use the hypotenuse leg congruency. So now let's look at the next one. Now in the next one, we have three different things going on. Notice that we have a side, we have an angle, and we have a side. And in this case, we can also come over here and see that we have a side, the same angle, and the side. And notice we have marked, right, one mark on that side. We have the single angle on both of them and the double mark on this next side. So therefore on this one, it does have a relationship, and we can actually call this one side, angle, side congruency. So for short, we'll say SAS. And for our last triangle in this lesson, I want you to notice that we have three sides. Notice this side has a single bar marking it. This side has a single bar marking it. This next side has a double. And this side has a double. And then this side has a triple, as this side does. So, because both of these triangles have a matching side on all three sides, we call that side, side, side congruency. So side, side, side. And we use the acronym SSS for it. So those are the 5 types of congruency that you're going to be facing on the work that you're doing. And hopefully this video helped you better understand how to tell the difference between those 5.